Hi everyone, I'm Claire from Back My Stitch Up Design and welcome to episode 2 of Snitches Get Stitches. Today we've got the lovely guest Kelly. She is the owner of Little Ginger's Handmade Clothing and she's just opened a fabric company as well. Hi Kelly,
Hi.
would you like to tell everybody about your businesses?
Yes, so I am based behind Little Gingers, which is a handmade clothing business. I do adults clothing now as well. I've recently introduced that line and accessories and things like that as well. And then I have just opened Ginger Lily Bugs with two friends from Instagram. So we're also a fabric business. So we've got so many fabric designs between the three of us.
Yeah,
We decided that it would be good to open this up to the world. So we mainly do pre-orders. People can pre-order fabric from us. We get our designs printed on fabric in China, and then we ship it out to customers here.
that's brilliant. And do you know how many designs in total you've got?
No, that's officially, that's top secret. Because we
I,
can't count that many.
I
I don't
think
think
I
I know
think
that many numbers.
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this, but who has got the most designs?
Sophie
Yeah,
at Iris Lillian has the most designs, I think, of anyone living in this world. Even designers who've designed their own designs, Sophie
yeah,
has more than that.
yeah, yeah. I think you're probably right there. So
And
how's
she
it
would she
going?
would admit that as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going well, thank you. We've had quite a few pre-orders. So we've got our first lot of fabric will be arriving hopefully in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. So we'll then be able to ship that out. And we've done a limited ready to post drop as well. So we had three different designs that we already had the fabric in stock. So that was good. So we did that. I think our Facebook group members got the first chance to go claim that on the website. They got given a
yeah,
special password and then it was open to the public. So but it's going well. I'm excited.
very good. So, what actually made you decide from going from your own handmade business to then also setting up a fabric company on top of that? Because that's quite a lot of work.
It's fine. Me, Sophie, and Dan, who's Bugs. I'll change between Bugs and Dan, but it's the same person.
Yeah,
We've been talking about it for so long. They're two friends that I met on Instagram through the handmade clothing business. I've never actually met Sophie in real life, but I have met Dan once. She popped in here when she was passing and surprised me, which was lovely. So I got
yeah,
to meet her. But we've spoken about it for so long because it's really difficult, the handmade clothing business, and I don't think you could ever price the clothes high enough to justify the amount of work that goes into them, which is
yeah,
absolutely fine. I'm not doing it because I think that I'm going to make loads of money from doing it. I do it because I love doing it and I just love handmade clothing. And I think I want everybody to experience it because I think once you've tried it, you realize why it's so good and all the benefits of it. Um, we've spoken about it for ages because obviously we do have all these designs and it's another sideline. We're all really enthusiastic about designs and fabric generally. It's so exciting when you get a fabric delivery.
yeah,
So we decided that we'd just go for it. Why not? I think now is the right time. Sophie's about to have baby number 3, so she was going to stop doing the handmade clothing side of things because it takes a lot of time and effort. And I think, to be honest, the advertising side of the handmade clothing business takes up more time than the actual making the clothes. So you spend
yeah.
90% of your time on Instagram and building your social media presence. And with she's going to have 3 under 3, I think. So she's just not going to have the time to do the handmade clothing. So we decided that now is probably a good time to start that side of the business as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people, myself included, really don't really appreciate the amount of effort that goes into handmade clothing. It's not just the making of the
Mm.
clothes; it's branding, it's social media advertising, getting a rep team, building a customer base. It's really, really time consuming.
Yeah, it is. It's the little things like packaging as well. So by the time you've wrapped it in tissue paper and then stuck labels on it, put it in a box and done all the sellotape, printed off the labels, all those little things, that takes ages. And that's on top
Yeah.
of having to make the clothes and everything as well. So yeah, it is a really long-winded process, but I still do it because I still love it.
Yeah, I think that must be why people continue to do it because it's definitely not for the money and for the profit, is it?
No, and it's frustrating because I think people see handmade clothing and think that it's expensive,
Mm,
because I suppose it is more expensive than the high street. And when you've got shops like, for example, Primark and places like that that sell clothing really really cheap, it's a lot of money compared to that. But
Yeah.
I think people don't realize that we're not doing it, we're not pricing it at that amount because we're making loads of money on it. It's because that's just about covering the materials and the packaging and the postage and all those things. And then, there's no way I get paid £10 an hour, which is,
Yeah.
just about minimum wage. So we're not pricing it to try and make a lot of money. It's because that's how much it costs to make it.
Yeah, definitely. So when you first started making clothes, then what was your process from deciding to start making something? I'm assuming for your own children,
Yeah.
buying a machine, sewing. When did you then decide, and how did you do that to turn it into a business?
I started sewing in lockdown. So I had Harper, my youngest. She was born in the January. Her birthday's New Year's Day, and then our first lockdown was kind of February, March after she was born. So she was still very little. And sewing is always something that I've wanted to do. My mum had always sewn when we were younger, and she made lots of our clothes. And I'd always looked at her sewing machines and thought they look really scary. I've not got a clue where to start. And then my mother-in-law also does a lot of sewing, and she kind of said that she'd give me sewing lessons and things, but she lives quite far away. But she said, just go for it while you've got the time during lockdown. I would buy a machine, just buy a basic machine and give it a go. It's something to do. And I don't really have any hobbies because I think when you're a mum of however many children, I've got three, your whole life kind of seems to be taken up by the children, and then
Yeah.
you don't have anything for yourself. So I thought, well, now's the ideal time. Steve was at home as well, and I thought I'd give it a go. And I took to it. I absolutely loved it. And I thought, to begin with, I thought, oh, it's so difficult. I'm not going to be able to do it. And
Yeah.
actually, it didn't take long watching YouTube videos and things like that. It didn't take long before I could throw together a pair of leggings. But in terms of selling, I started selling scrunchies and headbands, and I'd sell them to friends. And because I know quite a lot of school mums, so their daughters, mainly daughters, wanted scrunchies and headbands,
Yeah.
and decided to set up an Instagram page and a Facebook page to sell these things. And then friends started asking for clothing. I was practicing doing clothing for Harper. I did a lot of practicing, and got to a point where I thought, oh, do you know what? I might test the waters. So I think the first Instagram post and Facebook post that I put up was of something that I'd made for Harper. And I just thought, I'll see what people say and see what they think about the quality and stuff. And my friends had all said that they thought it was good quality. So I was kind of quietly confident, but not, you never want to be too kind of braggy about it, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm amazing. So yeah, so I put up my first post and I got a lot of interest. So started it really slowly. I had friends ordering first, and then it just built from there. Really, I think it's better to have a slow growth rather than all of a sudden overnight going to however many followers or however many orders, because
Yeah.
I think it's a learning process, and the slower you build it, the more you learn along the way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've seen some businesses that have technically are small handmade businesses, but then a celebrity might buy or advertise one of their items, and then they suddenly get
Yeah,
20,000 new followers and all these new orders, and they physically
yeah.
cannot keep up with that.
No, exactly, exactly. I think I like to get to that point eventually, but
Yeah.
I think if it happens overnight, it's a bit of a shock to the system. And then what do you do? You can't, if you can't keep up with the demand, then you get a bad rep as a business because you're going over your turnaround times. And yeah, I think it's a better way to do it slowly. It's easier, I think, to do it slowly.
Yeah. I remember when I first started out, before I did seamless patterns, actually, I was the same as you. I just had Winnie. It was lockdown, and I was like, oh no, I think it was before lockdown, actually. Yeah, before lockdown started. I was still on maternity leave, so I wanted to do a bit of a hobby
Yeah,
for myself, and I started doing embroidery art, like the hoops. So I started
yeah. As
doing
in doing
that.
the
I
actual
was,
embroidery.
yeah, doing the actual embroidery.
Keep falling out.
And I did other random things as well, like I did poems and like printouts on Etsy. So that
Yeah,
type of stuff. It's just nice to have something else to do, isn't it, other than just being a mum, I think.
yeah,
Just gives you
yeah.
a bit
Have
of.
you always drawn though? Have you always been arty and
Well, at school, I was always really good at art. But then at the time, you think, well, this was like 1990s, early 1990s, and I thought nobody is ever going to actually pay me to produce anything. But I wasn't that level, and
yeah?
I think you're about the same age, aren't you? Maybe slightly older.
No, I'm really young, Claire. Early 20s,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. I think you're a year older, but I feel like in that period of time, nobody was really encouraged to go for that type of job. So I just never even saw it as an option. But I think a lot of people have actually gone down the art road and graphic design. So you can obviously make money from it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think my strength isn't actually my art, it's maybe customer service. I'm not sure. You'd know, you're a customer.
Oh, I don't know,
No,
Claire.
not
No.
customer service.
Do you know what? I
Um,
think that's so true, though. I think a business is going to do well if you've got good customer service. It doesn't matter what your business is, you're going to do well.
yeah,
Definitely.
maybe marketing employees rather than customer service. Then that might be my strength. So when you actually set up Little Gingers, were you
Mm.
literally just selling on Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, it took ages before I built a website because that felt like a really big jump to go from, because obviously you have fees related to a website, and that felt really professional having a website. So
Yeah,
I thought it took me ages to build that confidence to think, okay, I'm ready. I'm getting enough orders where to justify having a website, to justify those fees, because they take a big chunk of your money,
yeah.
which is another reason why handmade costs so much money, because you've got to think about your PayPal fees and your card fees and all those extra things. So yeah, it took. I think I've only had my website for just over a year. Little Gingers is going to be 3 in October.
Woo.
So it was a couple of years before I got a website. Yeah, but I love having my website because I don't know if anybody knows, but I'm really scatty and I've got a memory like an absolute sieve. I forget
Same.
everything. So having
Yeah.
the website helps me keep organized because it's all in one place and it's all there and I can't forget orders because they're there. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be interested to know actually about websites because
Mm,
I don't even have a website. I've been doing it about the same time as you, and I don't
yeah.
know. I'm just a bit scared. Like I've even gone to set up my own website numerous times, and then like, oh my god, no, I can't actually go through with it.
You're obviously really good with computers and things, though. And gosh, if I can do it, then you could do it because I am not a technical whiz, or I'm not
Yeah,
technologically minded at all. But I use Shopify for my website. I know there's different providers out there. Some people use Wix. I think there's probably some others. But when I looked at it, Shopify looked like it was the easiest one to set up because they talk you through it all. It's really not difficult in terms of how to do it. You don't. I did do a little bit of coding because I'm really clever like that.
yeah,
But I followed lots of YouTube tutorials because I wanted my website laid out a certain way. And with the type of business that I am, because I've got so many different products and different
mm,
sizes, they have a limit on the number of variations in a listing that you can have. So I needed to do a few adaptations to that. But it's really straightforward. It's all laid out for you. They've got layouts. You just input the information in terms of the products, and that's it. You're done then. So it's not as difficult, I think.
yeah. So how much does it cost for the website? Do you pay a monthly fee, and then is it per transaction that you get charged as well?
So I think when I first started, I think Shopify was about £22 a month. And then each transaction you'd have a fee taken off as well, which you don't really notice when they take it off each transaction. Whereas now I think it's about between 30 and £40.
So does it give you a breakdown of analytics, like how customers have found you? Because is
Yeah.
it is it actually coming from I don't know, Google searches, or is it coming all from your social media anyway?
Yeah. All from social media.
Yeah,
I think occasionally people will have gone direct to the website. But in that instance, I think they're probably reps that already know about me.
yeah,
But all of my traffic, I don't think anyone has found me through Google because I do check occasionally. And it's all from social media and mostly from Instagram rather than Facebook. I don't know why, but I find Instagram easier to build up relationships with customers. It's easier on Instagram than
yeah.
it is
I
on
find
Facebook.
because I've got over 6,000 followers on Instagram and less than 1,000 on Facebook, and generally
Yeah.
I know I've like got the rep team on Instagram and everything, but Facebook interactions are just non-existent. It's
Yeah, I
really, really
know.
difficult. The other reason why I haven't looked into a website personally is because, as you know, I sell a lot on Etsy. I've got really bad time management. I'm a procrastinator, and I've already tried to put
Same.
my designs on many, many different platforms for selling. And I
Yeah.
kind of put 10 on, and I'm like, oh no, sod that. I'm going to go back to Etsy. That's the easy one.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of stuck with Etsy, and that's what's worked for me personally. But obviously,
Yeah.
Etsy is massive. It does take a cut of the fees like anywhere else would, but for
Yeah.
me, because it's a passive income, because I upload the digital file and then when somebody buys it, they just download it directly. So I actually don't have to do anything. Whereas for you, it
Yeah.
would obviously be a lot more work. But
Yeah.
yeah, for me personally, Etsy is brilliant, and I can't really imagine that I would get anywhere near as much traffic or customers on my own website. So that's the main reason why I haven't done it. I was actually looking the other day at my analytics on Etsy, and
Hmm.
from this year alone, so from January 1st until now, I've had something like 90,000 views on my Etsy
Oh
shop.
my goodness, that's
And I just
amazing. Well
think
done.
anywhere else, if I had my own website, it'd be like 20.
Yeah, there's no way you'd get, no, exactly. Yeah. No, I think because the businesses are different, I think for you,
Mm.
Etsy is amazing. And like you say, it's all in one place and people now know that you're on Etsy. I don't know that it would be any benefit to you to have a website as well because it's just double the
Yeah,
fees then.
yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
because I'm made to order as well, I think that's where I'd find difficulties with Etsy because there are so many different variations, and that's what I like about made to order is that people can like request leggings with extra length and a smaller
Yeah,
waist, or they can have a dress with extra length, or add ruffles to this, or there's so many different options. I think Etsy would be difficult to navigate with made to order, but I am hoping to open up an Etsy shop with ready to post items
yeah,
because I know we've spoken about it before, but it's another platform for me personally to get because it's how to grow your customer base. That's what I really struggle with is
yeah, definitely.
how to get new people interested because I'm really lucky. I've got a really big rep team, and they're all handmade addicts, which is lovely. And they make so many purchases, which again is amazing. But it's how to then build on that and interest new customers. So I think Etsy is going to be good to do that to get my name out there and yeah to
Yeah,
build a different client base.
yeah. So we were talking last week, weren't we, Kelly, or a few weeks ago about
Mm.
tips on how to start an Etsy business or
Yeah,
Etsy shop and how to drive customers to it. So Etsy, like most other things at the minute, is very oversaturated with makers and
hmm,
designers. Um, but there are a few things that you can do to up your chances of getting customers on there and being seen. So what I was saying to Kelly is initially when you start out on Etsy, you've obviously got no sales and no reviews and zero conversion rate. So the way that Etsy works is that the shops that have a higher conversion rate of views to sales, that have 5-star reviews and just generally more sales will be seen at the top of the search results. So what I did, it's not the same because obviously I'm digital, but I did start off selling physical products. So I found a niche in the market at the time, which it was then during lockdown. I started selling my own sewing kits,
yeah,
and then I did a lockdown wedding cancellation poem and did it as a printout. And nobody else was really doing it at the time. It was like one of those weird niche products that people were searching for, but not really any results were coming up.
yeah,
But yeah, they just sold really, really well. So my first 100 sales really were all physical products. Um,
hmm,
so I think you have to find a niche in the market first of all. If you speak to the general public, I was speaking to my friends the other day and I was saying, do you buy handmade clothing? What would make you buy handmade clothing? And they basically said, at the moment, because of the cost of living crisis,
yeah,
they can't justify spending that amount of money on handmade clothing just for day to day,
yeah,
but they would buy it for a gift or for a special
hmm,
occasion like a birthday or christening, etc. So I think really for Etsy, that is the type of thing you'd want to market on there. So it's occasion wear, birthday wear,
yeah,
newborns. That is also the type of stuff that I would have bought on there before actually doing this myself. So I think you've just
yeah,
got to think like a customer, put yourself in their shoes to see what would sell,
yeah,
and then
definitely.
you can actually send an automatic email to people that have bought from you, offering maybe like 10% off your next purchase if you leave a review.
Hmm.
It's that type of thing that Etsy does actually make it quite easy to get reviews in the first place.
Yeah, that's good. I think accessories is a good thing as well because I think if somebody because there's kind of smaller priced items. I think
Yeah,
once somebody has then seen that oh it's quite good quality, then they might be more inclined to look at the rest of your range. So start off small and then
yeah,
build their way up from there. So yeah, I've found that actually when doing fairs and things as well, that I've done a few fairs now, and I never sell clothing. I think because it is a higher priced item,
Yeah,
and they're village fairs and people go to them, not wanting to spend that much money, or they like kids will go with their pocket money. So
yeah,
having accessories there is something that they can buy, and it's still that you're getting your name out there and you're getting known for sewing and accessories plus clothing. So yeah.
yeah, definitely. In fact, I think I told you this as well. One of my customers, I'd done this coronation design, obviously for the king's coronation, and she'd
Hmm.
got the design and she listed these items on Etsy. She sells quite a lot on Etsy, and she's just one woman. She's actually 67 years old, but she's still like running a full-time
Wow.
business. And she
Yeah.
sold 100 meters of this coronation design in handmade clothes all on
It's
Etsy.
bonkers.
Yeah,
So
but it's
that's because that is so much fabric.
It is.
It's
Yeah, she said that
amazing.
by far it's like the best selling fabric that she's ever had, but it's
Yeah.
because it's like occasion wear, and there was so
Yeah.
few other people selling it that she
Yeah.
just got
It's a
all the
niche market,
customers
isn't it?
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. She wiped up and cleaned up.
Um, so, what are your plans on expanding your social media following? You've obviously spoken about maybe possibly selling on Etsy and then driving it
Yeah.
towards Facebook or Instagram, but have you got any other
Yeah.
tips?
I think so. There's a few tips for Facebook in terms of handmade clothing. I think Facebook is good in terms that it's got lots of different groups. So if you've got reps, for example, who are in born in December 2012 or whatever the groups are, that's way back. That's when my son was born, so that's ages ago. But
Yeah,
more recent ones, born in 23 or whenever, you could ask your reps to when they post in those groups, if they can post pictures of their children in your handmade clothing, and you can hope that somebody will go, "Oh, it's a really nice outfit. Where did you get that from?" And I think there's ways on Facebook of kind of getting your clothes in there without publicly advertising it, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, definitely.
Um, so I think that helps on Facebook. And then in terms of Instagram, Instagram is good because there's lots of giveaways that you can be part of, and that is instantly going to boost your followers. So I think that's a good way of building your customer base and your following as well.
Yeah, that is actually how I built my customer base, really. So when I first started out and I was doing the physical products rather than the seamless designs, I'd started my account and I joined, like follow loops. And that did get me a lot of new followers, but not the right type of followers. So
Yeah, that's the
I
thing.
would
It's so difficult.
Yeah, I would definitely not recommend doing the follow loops.
Hmm.
And actually, I'd say probably about 50% of the followers were wax melt businesses, which just were not the right type of people.
They don't want
No offense.
designs.
No, they don't. So then when I decided to do the seamless pattern designs, I actually unfollowed and removed a lot of those followers because I thought, well, there's
Yeah,
literally no point in having them. They're not
yeah.
going to interact with my page. They're not going to be potential buyers. So
Hmm.
I then contacted loads of other designers that were mainly just starting out, or there was a couple more established designers, and said, "Do you want to do this big joint giveaway?" And surprisingly, they all said yes. I think, except from one. Um,
Bonkers.
yeah, I know. So yeah, we did that, and I got loads and loads of new followers. And then I did that every couple of months for the
Yeah.
year, really. And
Hmm.
they're the right type of followers that you want,
Yeah.
and that is how you get customers essentially.
Because just because you've got a certain number of followers, that doesn't mean that you're going to be successful and have extra sales. So,
Yeah,
it would be better to have 2,000 followers of the right followers than to have 20,000 followers of people who just want nothing to do with your business because
yeah.
it's just a number.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I've actually seen a couple of really big. When I say big, they've got a big social media following. Handmade
Mm,
businesses, and they might have got 30,000 followers. But then when you actually look at their posts, they've still only got 10 likes on a post and no
I know.
interactions. And I think,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, they're not the right followers. You have to be very, very
No,
picky.
I think that having a big rep team is beneficial because you can encourage them to like, save, share, comment
Yeah,
and interact on your posts, which then, as we all know, Instagram has algorithms that, favor the active. So,
yeah,
if you can get a good rep team who are good on social media, then that's a massive help.
yeah. Well, I should probably mention this, but Kelly is actually one of my reps. long standing.
The best rep.
I'd say second best. I can't say that you're better than Sophie. Sophie will kill me.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I find having a rep team it's free advertising. It is brilliant. It's
Exactly.
so useful for drawing other people in, and it's generally people that follow them are also looking to buy the same type of product. I would find
Yeah,
usually.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so, how would you say your business has been affected by the cost of living crisis over the past year?
Yeah,
Well,
it feels like it's been forever, doesn't it?
yeah,
It's really quiet, really quiet. I think I'm quite lucky because I'm still a really small business. So I think it hasn't affected me quite as much as maybe some of the bigger small businesses. Um, there are so many businesses that are closing. It kind of seems to be a daily thing at the moment where businesses are
yeah, it
posting to
is.
say that, they're closing, and sales have massively dipped. But I think you just have to kind of believe in yourself and just keep going. Just grit your teeth and and keep going. So I kind of feel like I haven't really got anything to fall back on.
Yeah,
Um, so I feel like I think that's the thing in me, is that I have to keep going because I don't really have much else to do. So it's this or nothing, which I think
yeah,
keeps me going. I have to make it work. So yeah, I think it's really difficult, but I suppose it's looking at ways around it. So, for example, having another business, starting the fabric business, just so it's another fingers in lots of pies, basically. I
yeah,
think the more, the bigger you can spread yourself, the better. And it does mean that you're working harder, but obviously you don't get rewarded if you don't work hard. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I feel the same. I think you've got to be adaptable because
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of designers that have now disappeared that started at the same time as me, and they do their style of designs, and then slowly but surely the trends would change,
Yeah.
and that would kind of go out of trend, and then they wouldn't really change things around. Um,
Yeah.
and I just think you've got to be willing to change and to adapt and to, like you said, spread yourself out a bit more. Like this is one of the
Yeah.
reasons really why I've started doing the podcast as well, um, because your sales directly affect our sales too as designers. So
Yeah.
you can really
Yeah.
tell when your market is struggling, all
Hmm.
the buyers of designs stop buying essentially. If you
Yeah.
look on my analytics for Etsy over the past year, it kind of goes up, 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 plummets down this month. I'm like, oh my god, it must be hard times.
It's really hard times. I know. Yeah, it is. And I think I've definitely stopped buying designs for now because
Yeah,
I just haven't got the sales there to back. I mean, to be honest, I don't need any more design anyway, but it's never been about needing designs. It's always because I
yeah,
want a design. I just need to be a bit more sensible at the moment. And I couldn't, I'm ever the optimist. And I think, things will pick back up again and you know, it will be something that's successful. I believe in it. And I think that's
yeah,
just, you've got to have that belief that things will get better and people will be able to afford it again in the future. And that's why I feel so grateful when people do buy, because I know how difficult things are at the moment financially.
yeah.
So if people are willing to spend, their hard-earned cash with me, then it's amazing. It really is amazing.
I'd just like to say as well, obviously I don't rep for you, Kelly, but
Mm.
I've bought a lot of handmade clothing. I became a little bit addicted to it at one stage. And I would say that yours
It's not
is
like
up
you, Claire.
there. I know. Yours is up there with like the top made, most beautiful clothes that I've ever received. And
Oh,
they
thank you.
just fit perfectly. Like I've had some that's been oversized or too small, but yours are always just bang on. I feel like we've got very similar taste in designs as well. So
Yeah,
I love your clothes.
thank you. That's really sweet. I think the fact that I've built it up slowly and it took me ages to kind of take that leap of faith and decide that, I thought my sewing was good enough quality to begin selling. I think that's key to it. And I would encourage anyone to try sewing because it's so good, like therapeutically. I don't know what the word is. I suppose that's my therapy. That's, if I'm
Outlet.
feeling low or anything, I'll just go and I'll do some sewing. And it just makes me feel it's like my escape. I can go and, not think about anything other than sewing. And so I would tell anyone to start sewing. But I just think I wish everybody had the same standards. And I'm not being horrible, I'm not being nasty or anything like that. I just think it disappoints me when people sell handmade clothing and it's not of a very high standard, because I just think
Yeah,
that it puts people off. So if it's the first time that somebody's bought handmade clothing and they get an item that, maybe isn't 100% sewn the way that it should be, or, the seams snap on it, or, and I'm not saying, mistakes happen. I still make mistakes now, and sometimes things, don't last. But I just wish people had more pride in what they're doing, and that's why I do it, because I absolutely love it, and I'm mortified when things go wrong, but I would never ever send anything out that I didn't think was 100% good quality, because I just don't think it's fair on people. They're spending, when it is a lot of money, they're expecting to get, you expect handmade to be better quality than.
yeah. To be honest, some of the items that I have had before have been pretty bad. And had it
Yeah.
not been that I work in the industry anyway, that could have been
Hmm.
enough to put me off ever buying handmade again.
Exactly. And then you're narrowing the customer base that's already quite small and narrow anyway.
Yeah,
You want children to be able to run around, do roly polies in the clothing and it not break or tear or anything like
yeah,
that. So yeah, handmade clothing I think is about more than, yeah, it's about the quality, I think.
yeah, I agree. And I think I sent you photos recently as well. So the clothing from you that my daughter outgrew, I actually managed to pass it on to my goddaughter,
Yeah.
because it's still in excellent condition, even though my kids are
Yeah.
very rough and play very
Yeah.
rough. It
Hmm.
was just really, really lovely quality fabric.
Yeah. I've got reps who bought things for their new babies, and it's now on like the fourth baby, the fourth rep.
Yeah,
Um, because yeah, and that's what I love. I love seeing things that I've made being passed on to other children, and yeah, it's lovely. It's a lovely feeling to think that something that I've made has lasted, and yeah, it's good.
yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to ask you about is
Hmm.
undercutting.
Go on.
So I obviously know what effect it has, because when designers do it, it has a massive impact
Hmm.
on the other designers, and I imagine that is the same for your business as well.
It is. It's absolutely devastating. So occasionally I'll do offers. For example, the most kind of popular one used to be Tenner Tuesday. So you'd offer a mystery item for £10. And I've done it recently. But I'm not making any money basically to offer
Yeah,
t-shirts and shorts for £10. But it's to get rid of fabric, because if I don't sell cheap, then the fabric is just sat there doing nothing. So I'd rather get the cost back of the fabric. But when I say that that used to be the deal, it seems to be now that people are doing Five a Friday deals, which used to be things like you could get one pair of bummies or you could get a headband for £5, whereas now people are doing like, a shorts and t-shirt set for a fiver,
yeah,
and it just completely undervalues everything that handmade is, because how on earth can you produce, that's not even paying for the fabric cost. It's bonkers. So when I did out my Tenner Tuesday deal, it was only my reps that bought from me. Nobody bought from me. And I thought, well, why would they buy from me when they can go to another handmade business and get, a short, like twice as much stuff for half the price? And it's
yeah,
so frustrating.
yeah. I completely agree. Even when I see it, other clothing companies doing it, I just think, oh my god, like you are
Yeah,
completely devaluing your own work. You're devaluing the market. You're ruining the business
yeah,
for everybody else, and essentially
exactly.
for no money. Like they must be working at a loss to be able to do that.
Exactly. And I realise, occasionally you need to do offers to get rid of fabric, but still, you still need to be, because otherwise people are not going to buy at full price, because why would they buy at full price when they know that so many
Yeah,
businesses are going to sell really, really cheaply? And then it just, it ruins things. And I realize, we want to help people because, people can't afford to buy handmade clothing at the moment. We realize it's expensive. There needs to be a limit, doesn't there? And
yeah,
yeah, it's frustrating.
yeah, definitely. Right, Kelly, thank you so much for coming on today. I hope
It's
you've
been my
enjoyed it.
absolute pleasure. I have. It's been good.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and any comments or likes would be very welcome.